welcome to a very miserable, cold, rainy day on the southern coast of the UK. Today we are going to talk about McCalls 7969. You know the one, don't you? The one that everyone seems to be obsessing about over the last year or so, and I am included too, because I've been totally obsessed with this pattern, so much so that I'm having to force myself to put it away and move on to make other things really. But before I do that, I would like to share with you what I have made, my hacks to make cardigans, boleros, tops, anything. And you name it, I've done it in the top line. Okay, now the reason I first decided to make this cardigan was because this pattern has a very large statement sleeve, which I love, and I think that's why I like the pattern so much. However, when you want to wear something over the top of this dress, it's quite complicated because it's such a big sleeve that you can't wear it comfortably under anything which has a fitted sleeve in it. And so I suddenly had this light bulb moment before I put it to rest, this pattern, that I really think I could make some tops that I could wear with this dress. And that's what I've done. So this is the first one I made. As you can see, I have trimmed it in the same material as the dress. I've bound it around here, down here, and the bottom of the sleeve here. I didn't need to do anything to the bottom because this was actually a finished edge to some knitted fabric I had already. So I didn't need to do that. I just left it as it was. Okay, so here's the pattern piece for the front of this dress. Very easy to do. If you have this dress pattern or you've made this dress before, this will come very easy to you. All I did was I took the centre front. Now, most patterns have a centre front, a bodice front. At least it should have a centre front line that you can follow. So this one does. So don't cut it on the centre front. You need to allow your 5/8 seam allowance at the side. So add on a 5/8 seam allowance and cut it there. This has a bias strip around it, the same as the dress. I've bound around here, the same as the dress. This of course is different. So I know the pattern asks to use a bias strip for this, but I never do because it makes the sleeve stretch too much. So I've cut the strips around here the same, but not on the bias. I have cut this on the bias to bind this. This I have cut on the straight grain because you don't particularly want that stretching. I've also backed this with some very fine interfacing, and I've put buttonholes and buttons. Okay, so that's that one. Before I move on to the next one, I must just add that I did add about 2 inches onto the length of this jacket on the cardigan on the bodice. Okay, let's move on now. So here's the next one, made from a fabulous plush velour. Lovely colour. I don't know, it is a browny colour, but you look at it sometimes and it looks like, I don't know, taupey colour, I guess you'd call it. Anyway, so this one I love. Let me explain to you how I made this. Now don't forget, if you want to make this in a velour, please make sure that it is all running in the same direction. Okay, so running down this way, down, down. I know some people like to put the pile going up, but to me it feels odd. It may look richer, but it feels odd to me. Anyway, so this one I made in a different way. Incidentally, I will put everything you need to know, where I bought the fabric, in the comments down below. This one, okay, so first of all, obviously I sewed the bodice down the side seams and machined the sleeves on, and then the next thing was I overlocked a band on the bottom there. I then put a band going down the front to this seam here. Lastly, I did a band around here and also extended the band for the tie. Now, velour sticks to other clothing, that's the only thing. So I would, if you want to make it in velour, I would just make sure, oh, that's not very even, I would make sure that you were wearing something sleeveless underneath, which is what I've done to show the sleeves beautiful, otherwise they stick. Right? I've made a wider band around the bottom because I thought it looked better. I can pull it up slightly. Yeah. So don't forget, please, to subscribe to my channel if you like what you're seeing, and I will bring you more every week, more interesting things. So subscribe to my channel, please. Right, so let's get on with the last one. The last one is very different. This one is very different from the other two, obviously, because I've made a top out of this and not a cardigan or a bolero. Now, whereas on the other two, I said add 5/8 seam allowance, in this case, you need to place the centre front line on the fold, unless you want to make it a little bit wider, and if that's the case, then by all means add a little bit more at the front. So this I've made in a stretch lace which had two sides which were finished edges, which I managed to incorporate into this. I've used one side, I managed to sew a band on of the finished edge here, okay, right the way round. I've also used the finished edge along the bottom, where in the pattern you put a band round and gather around here. I put the band around right the way round this, then I put bias binding underneath and elasticated from here to the other side of the sleeve, so the top of the sleeve has elastic in it. This also has elastic and not binding. I managed to find some red elastic so that it didn't show through. I have extended it a little bit. Now, this is how I do my V at the front. I don't know if you can see this, but I always do a V there to pull it in to a V. Now, if you're thinking I can't wear anything that short, you can, provided you wear something longer underneath, it will look fine. I certainly couldn't wear anything that short without wearing either a longer top or a dress underneath it. But I love this, and as I said, in the description below I will tell you where I bought this fabric from. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like what I have to offer. Okay, I will be back next week with more interesting things. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying until the end. I really do appreciate it. Bye for now.